Hello and welcome to EV Platform. My name is Derek Riley from EV Review Ireland.
And my name is Blake Boland from EV Life Ireland.
And this week we're going to be talking about the newly launched Hyundai IONIQ 5. Blake, what do we know?
I'm very excited about this. Let's talk about a little bit of this video, and we'll let other people make up their minds on it before I give away too much. I'm really excited about this. This, for me, is moving Hyundai forward. We've had the IONIQ and the Kona in the past. Extremely efficient, really functional cars, really quality electric cars. But for me, this is moving Hyundai into a real desirable league now as well. Some of the features that they're introducing in this and the design of the car, it's really, really moving Hyundai forward, I think. Where is it sitting for you, Derek? What do you think?
Love it. Really looking forward to it. Love the design externally. Internally, we'll have a chat about it later, but I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I can't figure out the size of it yet, and so again we'll talk about that later on. But just to give the viewers a bit of an understanding as to, this isn't the new IONIQ that I've reviewed on my channel. This is they're going to call all of their cars IONIQ, electric cars moving forward. Is that right?
Yeah, IONIQ, which actually is a fusion of ION and unique, the two words. This is now their electric car sub-brand. So we have seen the IONIQ car in the past, but now we've got the IONIQ brand itself coming out with the 5. So the IONIQ 5 that we're talking about today. There will be the IONIQ 6 and then the IONIQ 7. I think they're coming out year by year, and even more in the future then. So it's really exciting stuff from Hyundai. You know, a company that's only around since the mid '60s, but they're extremely strong. You know, 4.5 million units in 2019, and we saw I don't know if you remember, Derek, Frankfurt 2019, the motor show. We saw the 45, the concept car. Thought, oh, that's bold and really interesting specs here. But the car has been pretty true to that. You know, in a relatively quick turnaround time. We're not seeing a 10-year lead time on a concept car. I'm still waiting for it.
That's great. And I think that turnaround time is probably down to the fact that it's using that skateboard platform. What do they call it again at IONIQ? At Hyundai?
Well, I've heard it been called the eGIMP, which I never want to say again. So it's the eGMP, which stands for the Electric Global Modular Platform. And this is something that's really, really exciting to see manufacturers doing this. So, of course, we've had Tesla doing it. The ID range from VW are now doing it as well. So we're getting the ID3 built off that, and the ID4, and many, many other cars in the future. So it's a dedicated EV platform, and it begins to open up new possibilities for what a car can be and will be. For example, the IONIQ 5 has a 3-meter wheelbase. Like, this is gigantic. This is kind of 7 Series BMW standard. And we'll see a little bit more as we go through the video what that means the car can do.
And so with that modular platform, they can plop is the wrong word. They can securely attach any body on top of it. And just let's start talking about aesthetically the Hyundai IONIQ 5. What do we both think about?
Yeah, well, the colors from what we've seen so far in the footage released by Hyundai, a lot of kind of muted pastel colors. I've seen 9 or 10 listed. We're moving away from the bold yellows and blues that we saw in the Kona to a little bit more muted style. But yeah, we'll have to see these in the flesh before you can make a real judgment call, I think. But the design language, they're calling this a crossover. But to me, it looks kind of more hatchback in style, and it's like it's all creases and no curves at all. It's quite bold. Does it remind you of any other cars, or the inspiration to it, Derek?
I really think it reminds me of the Cybertruck. I think maybe just the renders and what we've seen in the footage, the fact that it looks nearly silver stainless steel, and it has those strong lines and designs through it. But I'm really looking forward to seeing this in the flesh.
Yeah, and one of the other key features aesthetically anyway, is the pixelation of the lights at the front and the rear. Have you seen this? What do you think of it?
As an 80s baby, I'm really looking forward, and I think they're going to play to a lot of heartstrings. A lot of Nintendo and Sega Mega Drive and Atari Commodore 64. There's a lot of people that are going to reminisce back towards this. So, and I know that you're a huge fan of the wheels.
Yeah, what they're calling the fractal wheels. Huge amount of design has gone into them. They might not be everyone's cup of tea. Personally, I like them. I do like them, but they're a little bit different. They're a little bit bold. 20-inch rims, which is gigantic. Like, do we want to see that on our EVs when we're crying out for range? But then this stuff has so much range anyway. I don't think it's going to be a factor.
And that's the beauty of it. And we move from the outside to the inside. Then you've got. Let's talk about some of the features of the inside.
Yeah, well, I think you have to mention screens are such a big thing now, and electric cars are really starting to push in the boundaries, and manufacturers across the board are starting to adopt more screens and bigger screens. But we've got two 12-inch screens. There's one hoodless, the terminology that Hyundai are using, one hoodless digital gauge cluster. So that's going to have your driver information, your battery, your speed, things like that. And then there's another screen slightly to the side of that, which is the infotainment system. So I haven't seen a huge amount of footage yet as to what that can do, but I would expect Hyundai to be pretty slick in these terms. We'll see. We'll see when it comes out.
Design-wise, it's probably my least favorite part of the car. For some reason, it doesn't resonate with me. I love the outside. I love some of the other features on it, but these two screens, I'm not sure. Maybe it's just the color of the interior on the pictures that I've seen. But there's other things that I'm a fan of, such as the center console, Blake.
Yeah, this thing moves back and forth. You can slide it back and forth up to 140 millimeters or 5.5 inches in old money. So it's a really interesting feature because we talked about the EGMP platform. So it's a completely flat floor. You can get into the passenger seat and simply just move this console back 5.5 inches and slide across into the driver's seat. That's if you're blocked in a parking space for some reason. Even the seats themselves that we talked about, they're a lot more dynamic than we've seen in most cars. So you can slide both seats front and back, obviously, but the rear seats also can slide at I think it's a 60-40 split. Okay. And they're a lot slimmer. So Hyundai are saying 30% smaller than what? I'm not sure. Maybe their previous seats that they put in other cars. But it's noticeable when you look at the videos that these are very slim, neat seats. And it just gives a little bit more space to the interior of this car. And it also offers what Hyundai are calling zero gravity. So when you recline backwards, the base where your legs would be then also comes upwards a little bit, and a little kind of a cushion or a platform comes out where your calves would be. So they're talking about a zero gravity kind of weightless feel. Looks like a really nice place to recline while you're waiting to pick the kids up somewhere and you just want to grab a snooze or something like that.
And when you're these lazy boys, I'm not sure if we can use that trademark, but anyway, these reclining chairs, when you're lying in the back, you're looking out up into...
Yeah, so a clear roof. I've seen footage of two different styles. So it's a clear glass panel that goes almost from the windscreen to the back of the car. It doesn't have that cross beam in the middle like you see in the Model 3. And I've seen footage of that roof having solar panels built into it. So you're not looking at a huge amount of range coming from these panels, but every little bit helps. If it gives you a few hundred or even a couple of thousand kilometers per year, depending on where you live, that's welcome. Why not?
Absolutely. And the fact that I think it makes it a lot, I've found when reviewing cars, anything with a sunroof or panoramic, it makes it a lot airier. And this internally, the size of it sounds huge, even with the cylinder seats, etc. Size-wise, and I talked about this earlier on with regards to, I can't get my head around how big this is. Will you give me an understanding as to the dimensions of it?
Yeah, well, when I look at the car, I see a hatchback as much as a crossover, but this is not a Renault Clio in size. This car is 4.6 meters long. It's 1.9 meters wide and a full 1.6 meters tall. So even the wheelbase, the distance between the wheels is 3 meters. So it's a significant car. I think we're, in terms of dimensions, we're comparing this in EV world anyway to a Mach-E, and it's going to be relatively similar to the likes of the Tesla Model Y, the ID4 as well. Derek, have you seen the dimensions of the boot and the fruit as a result of these?
A lot of people would be buying this that potentially have families and, like yourself, would need pushchairs and all the other accessories that go with having kids. I think that we're going to be impressed with the size of this boot.
Yeah, 531 litres in the boot. Well, that is
Nice.
significant. You're going to get a lot in there. And that's before we even mentioned the fruit or the frunk, the space in the where you normally have the engine bay. So you got 57 litres if you've just got the two-wheel drive version. If you go for the all-wheel drive version, it still has 24 litres. And even that boot of 531 litres, that stretches out to 1600 with the seats down. So
Wow.
this is cavernous, really. And thanks to the EGMP, this new platform they're using.
Sounds like you'd be moving furniture in this thing. If we're moving furniture, where are we going to be moving it to? What kind of what can we expect range wise, and also the different variations?
Yeah, well, let's get that up on screen now. We can show people what the car can do. But I think WLTP, you're looking at challenging 500 kilometers. And Hyundai have been very efficient and capable of reaching their quoted figures in the past. So I think we're looking at a car that's significantly over 400 kilometers of range. And just to give you an example, that of the long range battery, the 72.6 kilowatt hour battery, that's giving you a combined motor of 225 kilowatts, 605
Nice.
newton meters of torque, and that's going to get
That's
you to
serious.
100k fast. Yeah.
20-inch tires, you're going to know all about it when you're leaving rubber on the road.
Mm.
Great to have that performance and great to have those options if you don't need the bigger battery and if you don't want all-wheel drive. How are we going to put juice into this, and what can it take AC and DC?
Yeah. So on AC, of course, you can plug this into your, using what they call the granny cable into your domestic socket and pull 2 kilowatt out of it. But it'll take up to 11 kilowatts AC. So most people will only have this, single phase will have the 7 kilowatt home charger. But if you find one of the public network ones that can offer 22, this can pull 11 off it. But even what's more exciting now for me is the DC capabilities. So we're looking at getting, if you can find a charger capable, this thing is going to peak in and around the 230 kilowatts, which is hugely fast thanks to the 800 volt architecture.
So if you give me that in layman's terms, because I've never had any plug socket in anywhere in the world, wondering what kind of volts or watts I'm getting out of it. Give it to me in range. How long is it going to take me to put, or give me something that the layperson will understand?
Yeah, well, as we said, you're getting close to 500 kilometers out of a charge, 100%. But this thing can go from, if you plug in at 10% up to 80%, it can do that in just under 20 minutes. So we can put 100 kilometers of charge into this car in 5 minutes when it's at its peak. This is hugely fast. My old Nissan Leaf can peaks, in and around the mid to high 40s. This thing is going up to 230 odd. If you can find the chargers to do that, and they will come in the future.
And a lot of people are saying that they want that parity with filling up with petrol or diesel, which I don't think is a fair comparison to make. But bringing that charging time down is going to be great for those longer journeys. Before we wrap up, there's one other very cool feature about this potentially to people out there, and it's to do with not putting energy in but taking energy out.
Yeah, I'm ridiculously excited about this. Calm me down if you need to hear, Derek. So we've heard of V2G, which is vehicle to grid in the past. So Hyundai are using the terminology of V2L, so vehicle to load. So this car has a plug socket inside the car on that center console we talked about in between the front seats. So you can just take your 3-pin plug, depending on where you are in the world, and charge up your laptop from that. So that can pull 240 volts, but it also has a plug socket on the outside where you would charge the car. And it can offer up to 3.6 kilowatts of power that you draw from the battery within the car. So you can plug in your electric lawnmower, you could go camping and have a little electric oven. But also, what do you think, Derek? Could we plug in another car to it as well?
I think sometimes you're always giving out about that poor Nissan Leaf that you have there outside the house, that it's not, it doesn't have a big enough battery. So when I buy this, if I buy this, or even get it to review, when we go on a road trip, we could be parked up somewhere and I could be trickling some juice over to you to keep you happy.
Yeah, it's hugely exciting. It's pushing the boundaries of what a car is and can be in the future. And we're going to see variations on the applications of this in the future. We're talking about tradespeople plugging in their tools, you know, not having to use diesel generators. Could we get 2 or 3 cars together when you go to festivals? And the implications, I think, you know, in the future years are really, really exciting.
I think that, and even in emergency situations, and we've had that recently in Texas, and I know in other parts of the world where there'd be natural disasters, and that's where the CHAdeMO system came to the fore, where it would allowed you to give energy back out. So it's great to see that these, even making it easier, because a lot of people have 3-pin, 2-pin, whatever your domestic plug is, and to be able to power things if you need it. Let's not end on a negative, though. It sounds like you're really excited about it, Blake, and it sounds like you're looking forward to getting your hands and to looking at one.
Yeah, I mean the price thing, you know, we have to mention as well. So we're not fully sure where it's going to land yet. Recommended retail prices, just pulling, you know, off the UK prices, are similar enough to a long range Model 3. Let us know what you think, though. Really interesting to see what sort of variance there is and people's estimations as to how much it's going to cost.
Hopefully you've enjoyed our talk about the brand new launched Hyundai IONIQ 5. If you haven't already, if you can subscribe to the channel, make sure you like the video, share it on to somebody that has been talking about it during the week, and let us know in the comments where you are and what you think is going to be the best thing about it, or if you're not considering it at all because of whatever reason. We'd love to hear from you. So hopefully you've enjoyed the review, and keep watching.